that is even good enough. So 1 more minute and we're going to start. By the way, Vincent, you are still playing soccer. I see the picture here. Or you stopped?
Actually, that's not soccer.
What is it?
I'm actually in Malaysia, F1 racetrack. So I was racing.
Racing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought that looks a little bit like soccer. I see the number 1. Maybe I thought goalkeeper.
I think maybe time for me to update my LinkedIn picture.
Yeah, maybe that's why. Exactly. That's what I found to be practical. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll start. So thank you very much for joining today. Our Exponential Growth in Practice webinar series as part of the 10x2 Masterclass series. And today we're going to focus on customer experience cycle and customer utility matrix. And the webinar today is going to be very practical. We have very experienced panelists and moderators, and we will try to we'll make the effort to transfer as much knowledge as possible to the listeners. A few practical requests. If you have any questions, please use the Q&A channel. We will not answer through the chat channel, but only through Q&A. You can ask questions anytime. When the questions are relevant in what we are discussing, we're going to answer it SAP. If not, we will delay to answer it a bit later. The rundown today of the webinar is going to be first an introduction of the panelists and moderators. Then we are going to have a short introduction about NX2. Then we're going to focus on the first part, which is going to be about the customer utility matrix and a discussion with Vincent Lewis, a co-founder of Flare Dynamics, about his experience applying the utility matrix and more. Then there are going to be a panel discussion with the industry experts that are going to introduce themselves shortly. And then a few minutes about the next webinar. For the information of everybody, we have a webinar series, and the webinars are taking place every 2 weeks. So we would like to start with the introduction of the panelists. And we would like to start with Prabjit, please.
Hi, everyone. So just a little bit about me. I've been on an entrepreneur journey for about 15, 16 years now. It started pretty early when I was 26, 27. And being a bootstrap company, I think I have something to offer here because I've gone through everything from a scratch all the way where we are today. And predominantly, I work in the HR space, pre-employment, post-employment kind of thing, and been working on the digital transformations across larger companies, smaller companies. And more focus of mine has been in the past 2 years, which is COVID, is more on the mental well-being. It has been more about working on the rise on the emotional technology, which nobody talks, or they start talking right now. We're talking about how we could change things around with COVID with the same companies, and what is important now. And one thing that we do is we also work with HRs and try to bring them to the boardrooms, because their input is very critical in today's world for organization success, because the inputs, the thing that drives the company is the team and the people. So I'm more of a people person to put into a small package.
Thank you very much. Can we go to Srikant, please?
Hello, everyone. I'm Srikant, and for the last many years, I've spent time in consulting. I worked with Boston Consulting Group, Accenture, Oliver Wyman, IBM, and a few other consulting companies. Very interesting experience that I started when digital was just getting formed, and digital has now turned into a big lever for transforming business. So moving from whether IT matters to now driving towards digital transformation and digital-led strategy has been my journey. And in the last one and a half years, I've been super excited about the power of open data, open banking. And one of the important aspects about digital trust. So my company DigiLI, I formed this last year to primarily drive digital identity, data privacy, and digital trust. Problem we are solving today is the access to finance for SMEs and the interaction between SMEs, taking away the friction between how SMEs can onboard and take loans from banks across the world. And look forward to a fantastic conversation here.
Thank you very much. Vincent, would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Vincent from Flare Dynamics. I've been a tech guy all the while. So I've been 20 plus years in tech industry. The first 15 years of my tech life is actually in IT, information technology, where I was a maintenance guy all the way up to a sales guy. In my last job is a sales guy in EMC. And that's where I actually decided that I want to pursue my passion, which is drones. And that's where I started the company. And yeah, it has been 7 years since. So I've been running the business for 7 years. We are looking at maybe growing the business a lot more. Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Vincent. Bala, would you like to introduce yourself? Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Mike, and good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here, and especially in the middle of such wonderful entrepreneurs. I'm also looking forward, like everybody else, to hear from them and learn from them. And for me, I've been passionate about data and digital. That's been something that I know that COVID has actually, one of the good things that has come out of COVID is the acceleration of digital and data adoption. So I've been in the thick and thin of those things, been with data and digital for more than 20 plus years now, in sales and consulting in both APAC and Europe. I've worked with some of the largest banks, telcos, media and entertainment service providers, primarily in digital transformation, but more around how to monetize the data and make the data dance and talk to the companies and to the customers. So pleasure. Thank you very much. Over to you, Mike.
Thank you very much. A few words about myself. I have both corporate and startups world experience, 20-something years with Philips and Siemens, and about 12 years startup experience. I founded or led 4 technology startups, and I'm still involved with startups. I'm CEO of a startup or scale up, you can say, a global startup in a scaling stage. And in this way, I enjoy very much the technology world. Again, thank you very much, all the panelists being with us, and let's have an exciting and innovating webinar in the sense of transferring as much knowledge as we have to the participants of this webinar. So I will continue with the next page. A few words about 10x2. 10x2 is a business acceleration consulting firm based mainly in Asia, but also in a few countries in Europe. We focus on sustainable growth of the innovation ecosystem. This is our major focus. That's what you see, the goals of the UN Sustainable Goals. We support many of them. So everything is about sustainable growth. What we do is we focus not only on the startup ecosystem, but also on the corporate ecosystem, scaling of startups, consulting of established companies, and partnerships between startups and established companies. In order to grow the innovation ecosystem sustainably, we need to involve the innovators, the companies that want to grow further using partnering with other innovators, investors, institutions. Is managing the whole ecosystem is something very, very valuable. Today, we would like to start with the first part of this webinar with a bit theory about the customer experience cycle and the customer utility matrix, and the rest is going to follow from the rest of the webinar is going to be discussion and learnings from our journey in various stages, in various companies, and in various locations. So and again, for the participants, anytime you need to have any question, please use the Q&A. This is the only channel we use. Chat we will not use. So every industry has and every customer is following a number of stages. We call it customer experience cycle. And here we depict only 8 phases, but this can be in other cases 6 or can be 9. In this case, any customer starts with try to find or search to find something, then they purchase something, then there's a delivery part stage, there is an installation, there is a use stage, there is a total solution, there's a maintenance stage, there is disposal stage. And for different industries or for different applications, this might be also different, but in principle, you can say 70 to 80% it's applicable. So in order to create growth in any business, one way is to find blocking factors or pain points in this customer journey, you can say, and then convert them to opportunities in order to create growth. To do that, there are various methods. So the method we use is we use various attributes, like important attributes like efficiency and productivity, design, simplicity and convenience, risk and society environmental impact. And we use these attributes to be able to find these pain points and convert them to opportunities. How we do that is, first of all, you need to understand the definition we give for efficiency, productivity, design. As you see here, I will not go line by line, but the most of you understand the definition of efficiency or productivity. And by using these attributes, we help any business or any startup or established business to find the pain points in the customer journey. How do we do that? We are asking for the different stages of the customer experience cycle. What are the major blocks to the customer for the specific stage? It's a very practical way, and the more you practice it, the more you build experience, right? Then we use this matrix, as you see here, we call customer utility matrix, and we have on the horizontal axis the customer experience cycle, the different stages, and vertically we have the customer utility matrix. That means the attributes. So on the vertical axis, the different attributes. And we have left also one open place, we call it the industry specific. For different industries, we use different specific attributes. For example, certain industries, the accuracy of the whole process is very, very important, or can be the quality is essential, or speed of responses can be very, very, very important. So then you fill this in yourself for the different applications depending on which industry. Now, by asking the question, how can we improve the productivity, for example, during the find or search process of a solution, right? Then we can find pain points. The same question we are asking for the purchase, delivery, and in this way we fill this matrix with pain points. And then the idea is because there will be many pain points, we need to find some way to prioritize them. So to prioritize the pain points, and I go very fast, but I will check also. I see some questions. I will finish first this short theory, and then I will go to the questions. Practically, because there will be normally in such a matrix, our experience says that the most of the companies we find between 25 and 40 different pain points. Some of them are very similar. Then to address 25 or 40 pain points, you need to have a lot of resources. So then you need to do some prioritization. So the prioritization we do by using a two-axis matrix, which is using the importance for the customer and the satisfaction for the customer as criteria. And then we have two rules of thumb. The first one is we say whenever there is high importance score and low satisfaction, then this pain point will be a very good target for new value creation. Whenever there is a pain point or need that has low importance score and high satisfaction, is potential for cost reduction. So by plotting all the pain points in this square, you can say, then you can decide what is more important for you, and you choose based on all the most important, the highest importance and the low satisfaction, or the other way around, depending on if you want to create new value or you want to reduce cost, which is normally in every business. You cannot keep on only adding value without reducing cost, because you need to find the funds from cost reduction a lot of times to be able to invest to create something new. So there is always a balance. And the last point I would just want to share, in this methodology, we use always the 4 major types of customers, because it's not only about finding new pain points, but also attracting new customer and the new customer segments. And this we do it by asking the right questions. So there are 4 types of customers: existing customers that they are satisfied, existing customers that they are dissatisfied, and you can convert them if you find the reason why they are dissatisfied, or potential customers that they refuse to use our products or services because our products or services are not good enough. So how can we convert these customers and follow our, change their mind and purchase our products? And the last one is there are also potential customers that are unaware of our products and services. So by asking the right questions, you can find these customers and convert them after you address pain points through this utility matrix. So this is a very practical way to find pain points and convert them to opportunities, and through these opportunities grow the company. I will go to the first 2 questions, if there are any questions. Okay, so this one, we don't have questions, we have more advertisement of participants. Okay, so I will go now to the to Vincent, and I would like to ask you, Vincent, if you could say a few words about the company you work, because you are in a very exciting space like the drone space, and then we will continue with more questions. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
Sure. Yeah. So Flare Dynamics, we are a B2B unmanned system company. So we have been around for around 7 to 8 years now, and we are actually comprised of a bunch of engineers, basically end to end, from designing, development, all the way to deployment for the customers. We have mechanical engineers, electronics engineers, programming. So we control the whole process of design and deployment of drones. Till date, we have deployed about 50 different prototypes for our customers. It sounds good, but it created some issues for us. So we'll talk about it later. And we also provide drone as a service, DAS, drone as a service for our customers. In particular, in counter UAV systems, where we actually audit counter UAV system for our customers. We do inspection, things like first-site inspection is something that's very popular in Singapore right now. But we also do things like oil and gas, pipeline inspection, and so forth. The other service that we provide is construction monitoring. It's something that construction company need to give some report every month to get money. So that's why they engage us to have a bird's eye view of their construction, and they actually get some money. Our key business till date is actually security and defense customers. So we have actually developed quite a fair bit of security and surveillance drones for the Singapore government. Can't mention too much. And this was a good business for us in the past, but actually it's also very limiting for us, because when we bring our defense business overseas, typically our neighbors will not buy from us, and so forth. So the other countries wants to have their own local drone company developed for themselves. So that's what Flare Dynamics has been doing in the past. Of course, with 10x2 help, we actually developed a new business model. Maybe I will let Mike
Yes.
talk further. Yeah.
Yes. So thank you very much, Vincent. So my first question to you is: we have worked together for more than 6 months. I think 7 months since we started. In March
Yep.
this year, we went through the whole process, the exponential growth process. And would you like to say a few words? How was the experience working with us, and what was the major learnings for you, and what was the benefit for you? Do you have anything specific to share? How did you experience
Yeah.
this?
So about 7 months ago, right? Actually, not 7 months. We have realized that our business has plateaued quite a fair bit. We actually experienced very high growth initially in the first 5-6 years, and we realized that business has plateaued, not because of COVID, but probably because we did not grow beyond Singapore, so we are struggling. And that's where we actually went out to look for a consulting company to help us out, to give us a perspective from the outside. And the past 6 months with 10x2 was quite a different experience, because we have different partners from 10x2 coming in to our sessions to help us coming from very different perspective, from financial perspective, from manufacturing perspective, from go-to-market perspective, and so on. And they actually point out things that is right in front of us, but we are looking at it, but we do not know what is the problem. So that actually help us validate issues and growth path. After the session with 10x2, after 6 months, right, we now have a very clear direction how to actually grow to the next level. And we are in the midst of trying to execute that and bring the company to a greater heights. So yeah, and one of the first thing that we did is, after 10x2 have gave us all the issues, we have actually shift into a much bigger office to allow our company to grow.
That's impressive. Continue.
Yeah, and actually, quite a few tools that Mike and his team have actually brought to us. Right, it was a very painful process for us as founders, because we have so many things to do, and then we have to do the homework part of things. It was very painful. We have to force ourselves to do it. We have to commit time, and with these tools, right, initially we are thinking, why are we doing all this? But after we complete making use of these tools to complete our homework in a way, we realized that it actually gave us a map of what our business is and how we can actually move. So things like strategic analysis mapping, customer utility metrics, go-to-market canvas, very, very, very beneficial to us. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Vincent. Would you like to say a few words? What was the major impact created, especially from the customer utility matrix? Do you have any 2-3 benefits that you derived from this process?
Yeah. So yeah, actually, customer utility metrics is something that was confusing in the beginning for us. We tried doing it a few times to be customer utility metrics. We tried the current utility metrics and so on. We did quite a few sessions brainstorming, and I think what we got, we even have to actually go out to our customers and get survey from them, which is something that's very useful, because when we created a survey form, we bring this out to the customers, right? They actually give us answers that how we can actually grow our business, what are the problems that they are experiencing with us, and really put into perspective some of the shortfalls that we have. Yeah, so after going through the session, right, we realized one of the, of course, I'm not going to share everything that we have, but one of the major problems that we have was we have too many drones model, and we cannot focus in terms of growing the business, because there's 50 different model types, and we're trying to sell 50 different model types to our customers. Sometimes even the 10x2 partners was confused what we are trying to sell. And with the customer utility metrics, right, it actually helped us pinpoint down to what exactly we are very strong in and how to actually move forward. So we have actually shortlisted down to a small drone docking station, something that we have been strong in terms of development of this system over the past many years with our customers. And the market right now is actually short of this drone docking station, which is a small drone docking station that can be used for things like construction, interior large small environment, mining environment, solar monitoring and environment. So I will not go into selling the product itself right now. Yeah, Mike, back to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I don't know, Bala, if you'd like to ask any question to Vincent or anybody else, but this is from my side. Do you like to ask one question or something?
No, thanks, Mike. I think I'm sure Vincent is part of a panelist as well, so
Okay.
I'll tap on experience later
Very
as
good.
part of
Very good. Okay, before we pass the floor to you, I would like to ask if the participants would like to ask any more questions. I think it's the right time before we move to the next part of the agenda. Or Vincent, would you like to have any last sentence from your side for this session? Anything else to share that was very valuable for our interaction? As a last question.
I think the customer utility metrics is something that we are not just going to use it for our current session and then be done with it. In the future, when we hit issue and stuff like that, even without assuming that 10x2 is no longer supporting us in consulting, we will actually make use of this tool to actually get ourselves out of situations and stuff like that. In terms of our business model and so on, it's very it's a tool that is painful to do, but it will give you very clear directions of how you should move forward.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'll go back to the agenda. So we covered this customer utility matrix. Again, any questions, please, you can use the Q&A channel. And then I would like to ask Bala to take over and we go to the panel discussion with the industry experts. Bala, floor is yours.
Hey, thank you, Mike, and thanks, Vincent, for sharing really, I think it's a practical way of using customer utility metrics and the challenges and how you've actually has helped Flare Dynamics. Very interesting to hear that how a simple tool, or as you said, it's probably one-time complicated, but how it can actually potentially change the way you actually want to bring in change. So thanks for sharing that wonderful session. Thanks, Mike, for that as well. Let's get to the panel discussion now. I have really, as we saw, we had some really good industry SMEs here from different industries, from HR transformation, from digital identity platform, and from the IoT. So I think we're going to get different varied points, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure every one of you is also keen. So maybe Mike, maybe let's stop sharing the agenda and then we can put our panelist in the spotlight. Yeah, great. Thanks, Mike. Okay, so let me get started. Probably Srikanth, Prabhajit, you also heard from Flare Dynamics, from Vincent on the customer experience, different life stages and how the utility matrix is helping. So I'm going to actually start from the different stages. We'll start from the preliminary stage. So let's understand, how do you normally go about discovering your buyers or prospects? You know, that's probably the first part of your customer experience life cycle. I'm sure that each one of you have different ways in which you've grabbed the attention of your prospects and buyers. Why don't I start with Srikanth, and then we'll get to Prabhajit and Vincent. Yeah.
So Bala, very interesting. You know, this particular question has been haunting you know, a lot of people who want to take their product to market, right? I would actually think about it completely in opposite way. I would say that what you need to take to the market is what it should fit in. There has to be a product market fit. So your product has to really be something which starts with the customer instead of you building a product and then taking it to the market, right? I mean, we most of the times, in early part of my career, and when I was, in different countries, I realize I'm buying things which they want me to buy instead of what I need, right? And then suddenly the value of that product disappears. So I would say what you want to offer or what you should offer, start with your conversations with the customer. You should identify, and again, being in consulting for such a long time, you need to identify the problem statement first, and you shouldn't put the cart before the horse. Identifying the key problem is one of the first things you should do when you want to take anything to the market. And for that, you need to do surveys. You need to probably do some primary, secondary research. All of that is extremely important. A lot of times people believe that that product is offering so many features, but sometimes you don't really need to offer so many features. You may just be able to go with one feature which is taking care of the most important problem. So I would say that imagine, put yourself into customer shoes, find out the unmet needs, and then look at how your product or how you are building the solution would be useful for them. And I'm always a proponent of consultative selling. So you need to look at it as a problem solving mechanism, the way Vincent mentioned, right? There were problems, and it's always, you need to also even challenge the problems periodically. It's not like the same problem you're trying to solve. So my thought would be going back to the customer constantly before even you build the product, and having multiple iterations there before you build something which is a working prototype.
Hey, thanks, Shrikant. I mean, absolutely. I mean, nobody can argue with that, right? Prabhajit, in your case, I mean, I know that you've built a lot of solutions, different companies. How did you ensure that your company got the right kind of buyers, the right kind of prospects? How did you do that?
All right, so I technically first say I agree with everybody what they say in terms of, because everybody's been to this process. But what worked for us, or what predominantly still works for us, is the question which also how Shrikant introduced himself. What is the problem we're solving? The first question that we ask ourselves, right? For example, like COVID, we created products and all. The first question we ask ourselves, what are we solving, and who is going to impact, right? So internally now, running this over 15 years, we have a team where we could have inter discussion, and we have a big pool of clients where we discuss, and we answer that question ourselves. I mean, for us, we got very methodical. We got about 25 questions that we answer ourselves. Why we're doing it, for who we're doing it, how it's going to impact, and things like that. So a series of questions that we go through to see what problem statement, because what we have seen across, or what I see across a lot of entrepreneurs and all, is, let's say L&D is something, is a buzzword, so everybody gets into L&D, but what in L&D, nobody talks about it. So everybody starts building L&D. Now mental well-being, everybody started building mental well-being, but what are you solving and how are you solving it? Does the customer need that? So I get mental well-being pitched to me almost every week. The last 6 months was L&D. I was getting pitched L&D by everybody. They want to come to Singapore, push it, move it. But if I ask them how you're unique, have you even checked what Singapore market is and where you level yourself? Now they just think, I build the product, I go Singapore, I go Southeast Asia, I go big, I become Unicom, I'm brilliant. Everybody's idea is brilliant, I agree, but nobody wants to answer the 10, 20, 25 questions internally. And that's, I think, the key for any success product is your self-reflection of why we're doing it. And that's what happens when they come to like 10x2 or they come to any consulting, that's the first question we ask them. Okay, so why are you doing it? What's the takeaway? What problem are you solving? And then we try to say where is the market fit for that. But if they can do this, and this is not rocket science, it's on the internet, YouTube, everywhere, right? So what we have done, and we've been successful now. And I'll tell you very back real life experience. So we started a very small company, 2 people sitting on a table, and our first client was Deloitte and Touche. Very interesting story. I will not go into it, but it's a very interesting story. And then we built a product out of it. And while selling that product, we got a lot of clients coming back and say, oh, do you have an HR system? And we said, why do you need an HR system? Neither I'm HR, neither I have an experience with HR. And then we realized there's a big gap in the market. The people selling HR as a system, which is just an Excel can do, but they don't have something which actually HR wants to do, which is engagement, which is basically communication, a lot of things. So a lot of things came from the clients to us, and I think we were very successful because we started something we didn't know. So a lot of people, when I meet now, they say, oh, you're not from HR, that's why you have a good product. I say, why? They say, people from HR will make the same product. So you're not from the HR, so you took a different path to it. So I think that's answering the 10, 15 questions internally will let you know what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Hey, thanks, Prabhajit. Yeah, I liked what you, when you said about self-reflection, why you are in that business, what is the primary reason for building a solution, and is there a connect with the need? I think that's well put. Vincent, just wanted to understand. I know you in your initial part of the session, you talked about building different types of drones and how 10x2 helped you in optimizing the solution or the value proposition. Today, what are the different channels in which you engage today to reach out? I mean, I know that you're looking at B2B, even B2C kind of channel partnerships, direct. So I just wanted to understand what are the different channels in which today you employ to kind of reach out to your customers or prospects?
So Flare Dynamics, we are a small company. SME are small, and we have limited resources. So a lot of times, right, we do cover the customers directly, but ultimately, right, there's only so much we can cover with the limited resources. So we actually engage actively with partners. So in Singapore, we cover some customers directly, but we also route these customers back to our channel partners. So we actually develop a few channel partners within Singapore itself, where they already owns the relationship with the customer. And these partners will actually bring us in using their relationship to actually approach the customers. For us to engage out of Singapore, right, we are exclusively using channel strategy. So we will assign typically one channel partner within a country to help us out in terms of selling. So for example, in Indonesia, I have a partner where we engage them for 3 years before some sales go through. But once the sales go through, it will just keep going because the channel partner learn the trick on how to sell our products. We also have a channel partner in Japan that took us 1.5 years to groom, and finally orders start coming in. So that's how actually we moving forward, that's how we will engage our customers and partners.
Yeah, I think it resonates as well, right? I mean, I think it's the channel partners help you in the discovery stage. They also help you in multiple customer life stages, whether it's in delivering post delivery stages as well, in maintaining, in bringing. I think it's I think a channel strategy well put would probably make a huge difference in the success of the startups or in the success of taking your product and solution to the next stage. Thanks for that, Vincent. Coming back to you, Srikanth.
Bala, allow me to add something. Yeah, I think in general in this discussion, the importance of having access to the final customer, independent of you go to market through partners or not, and understand the needs. Just to summarize what has been said, understanding the needs of the customer is so essential. And many startups, especially in the technology world, they focus on the technology and they forget the customer needs. And that's why the success rate is also very low. Thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely, Mike. No, I totally. I think it's we have seen the success of many technology companies. You take Apple, you take anybody, is whoever understands the closer to the customers are the ones who are very successful.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for that. And coming back to you, Srikanth, just wanted to, I know that you're trying the Digi Alley, been trying to do like a digital identity platform, the digital trust solution. I know it's an interesting solution, but it's also something that probably would need educating a bit on the solution part. How do you go about, when you're actually trying to explain a very technical oriented solution, to say the benefits of it, educating about your product and solution to explain the correct value proposition? Do you do demos, POC, webinars, or what are the typical activities that you're currently doing to communicate that value proposition?
So most important thing is when you are talking to a stakeholder, and within the geography, within the organization, based on whom you're talking to, you need to make sure that you are communicating the right message so that people understand your value proposition. So if you're talking to a tech person versus you're talking to a business person, you will need to make sure that you are bringing out the right points and which are relevant to that person. Across geographies also, if you go within ASEAN and outside ASEAN, the level of digitization of banks and financial institutions is different. So you need to make sure that, if you go to a country where, in Singapore, everybody knows about SingPass, the beauty of logging into, by your bank account by using SingPass or, some of those things, right? And you could get a credit card approved in just few hours because you can share the data, via the government approved verified data. But if you go to some other countries in ASEAN or some of the developing countries, you will find that the access of data is not there. So you will need to pitch it differently, and your solution also needs to be customized for that. The third thing we learned a lot. So DGLI was amongst the shortlisted companies for the female economy for one of the mass hackathons, and we were among the top 10, 11 companies in the world. It was focused on women economy. The idea there was, and we learned this through the journey where Financial Alliance for Women helped us, that when you're offering the products, you don't need to customize the product. You will need to just customize the interaction, the way you offer the products to female. Because you are actually looking at a different type of model. Women need a lot of interaction, confirmation from the group. So you will need to have a lot of selling focus, as well as making sure that the community at large is buying the product instead of just trying to change the product. So I would say, the change when you think about the product, you will have to think about how are you introducing the product to different segment of people. That is the first part. You will need to have that clarity on whom are you approaching. The second part is where, as you said, the demo really helps because a lot of times you are, and it could be a working prototype or a non-working prototype. It may not really matter to the end user because they still grappling with the idea of saying, what is the digital identity and how do I use it on a day-to-day basis? So building some of these screenshots. So what we do is we were talking to one of the large SME lenders in Singapore. And as part of the business development process, we actually reimagined the entire lending process, digital lending process, right? To show them that, we are going to get 15 days to few minutes of onboarding and making an offer. So this visualization significantly changes the perspective. Uh, there is a third dimension where you need to definitely educate people about what is coming, because while we talk about solving a problem, uh, there are companies which solve problem for today. There are companies which solve problems for tomorrow. Of course, there are companies which try to solve for yesterday, but those companies probably don't have any future. So in a way, when you are building your value proposition and conversation, you need to realize what type of company you're dealing with. If the company is ready to, and most of the clients we talk to, they are looking at solving the future problem. They are looking at creating something in future, right? And that co-creation process is very important. So those are some of the boundaries and some of the examples, I would say. But it really depends on you putting yourself into client shoes and trying to give them an experience what they will get even before buying the product.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think I think you put it very nicely. And in fact, the discovery stage, as Mike has in his book also has kind of explained this is very clearly that uh, it's not about just grabbing the attention. I mean, sometimes you can excite a prospect with a lot of it, but you have to educate them to convert them into a customer. So I think a lot of people actually come up with lots of expensive marketing promotions, and they excite the prospect. But when you look at very few conversions really happen, very few of them really become actual customers, because you need to still educate, you need to still explain to them so I think it's a good way to wrap up our discussion on the discovery stage. And I want to now touch upon a utility attribute before we go to the next stage. One of the utility attributes, uh, this is for you, Prabhajit, is efficiency and productivity. We always, I mean, this is something that every company talks about, how to achieve maximum efficiency, maximum productivity. And it's always been the challenge is how do we achieve maximum efficiency with less, which is basically with less resources, with less investment, achieve more with less. And that's always been like a mantra that everybody, and it's very few people achieve it. But what is your, how do you achieve it in your company? How have you been doing it in terms of achieving more with less resources, or with less investment? Resources could be your manpower resources, could be about your financial resources, but how do you go about achieving more with less?
Thanks, Bala. Very interesting question, and I think it should be one that should be answered, because it is a real challenge in today's world where people can't do that. So, being a bootstrap company, we were in a situation where we were spending more than we were making money. And I think everybody goes through that journey till you realize what actually two things helped us. One, being in the HR space, when we start talking about our product can bring an employee engagement, and we say, if you have 10 people right now and you're hiring more people to increase your efficiency, if you can engage the 10 people, probably you'll remove one more person from your company, because half of them are driving one way, half driving a different way. So the employee engagement is not a fancy word out there. The challenge in today's world is the HR thinks you get a system and employee engagement happens. It doesn't happen, right? Because the system cannot get people engaged. Now, how do you get engaged is a very interesting question. So what I'm doing right now, currently, I recently took over my sales team just for a period of 3 months. And the first meeting I said, I'm not here to get numbers from you. Now let's all of us go back and come after a week and say, how do we become the super performing sales team? So I left them for a week. They came back. They said, okay, these are 10 points. We need to do 10 points. I said, okay, now the book work is done. You got 10 points. Now 10 weeks, we break down every point and we discuss. So the points that now come is how to create value for a client. Now, you see, this is where we got them engaged. Now, that way, every week, I see this team connected more very well. And without pushing them for sales, my numbers increase automatically. The second, similar I do with my support team. I said, all right, now what's our job? Our job is a customer experience, or our job is customer service. They all feel a job is customer service because they don't know what customer experience is at all. So when you talk about people customer experience, they talk about customer service. Then we went through this whole team and said, okay, let's do this. So the point I'm driving back home is the only way to reduce cost and have efficiency is engaging the human capital, because that's the biggest cost. And for me, I think 80% of my cost is that. Tech company today, you want anything, you get fiber, blah, 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 $10, $20, $10. All that is possible. But the biggest cost is human capital. And if you can engage them, and as a leader, that's your responsibility, you can gain it. 3 months, 6 months, that's all you need. But hiring people, HR leaders, getting systems is only tools. If the structure is not in place, you can't do it. So for me, is engaging the same team, you will be surprised what results they bring back to you.
Hey, thanks, Prabhajit. So I think that's one of the strategies, as you say, is to get more with less is effective engagement. So that's what I take as a takeaway from you. I think it makes a lot of sense. Vincent, I know that you are in this drone business, which is all about design, getting the design right, which is making sure that the experience is paramount. How do you go about? I know that it's when you come up with designing a drone, an IoT device, the customer experience, the user design becomes critical for the success of your product and solution. So, can you share some of your experience of some design challenges that you have to address in your journey?
Yeah. So in terms of design, a lot of time, the design itself is actually not the challenge. It's understanding the customer requirements and actually executing the design to what they actually want is the challenging part. When translating what the customer want to the back-end engineers, what they want, a lot of time there's a lot of information loss in translation. So as a manager, we actually a lot of time have to try to bridge this gap, and this is actually the most challenging part. But once that gap is being bridged, the design portion, right, will be very clear, and the next part is actually trying to validate that the design actually works perfectly. So things like setting up a test process to QC the design is very critical. This designing a process to test to QC the design is something that during the customer utility metrics we have actually realized that we are a bit lacking on this portion, and have actually beef up quite a fair bit. And by validating the design internally again and again and again, we actually deliver a much better customer's experience when we deliver the product to the customers.
Yeah, no, thanks, Vincent, for sharing that experience. I think it's I've seen many startups having when it comes down to getting the design right, it's not a one-off thing. It's an iterative process. It's you get it with different markets, different requirements, different customers. You learn from the customer's engagement, from the partner's engagement, and it's a continuous process of making that better and better. So thanks for that. Shrikant, we have heard from the importance of the design, the efficiency, and the productivity. I'm trying to understand in a purchasing process, when a customer is ready to purchase your solution, do you think it's these factors, which is value proposition, the design, that makes the major consideration, or does it go back to the traditional economics factor, which is your solution financially make sense, or after that only comes this factors of customer experience and the value proposition? So I just wanted to say, what influences largely the purchasing decisions in your experience?
So we've heard about the story of survival of the fittest, right, as part of the evolution. And we all believe that, the strongest or the smartest, all of that, they win the race, right? But there is a very interesting book. I don't recollect the name of the book or the author now, but the book is all about, how the nature has made choices about something beautiful to survive. So it's about survival of the most beautiful, right? So what I'm trying to say is, if we just draw a corollary into the products we see today, why Apple is so successful, or some of the product designs are so successful and they survive the test of time, is because they are designed in a fantastic way, right? And they fulfill, they just offer that level of beauty, right? So I would say, from the perspective of how you look at a product, any startup or any company or any particular service, the delivery mechanism and the interaction of the product with the customer has to be designed really well, right? You may have a phenomenal product, you may have a lot of features, right? I have seen a lot of ERP solutions. I don't want to take any names, or a lot of core banking solutions where you have so many features, but they are not very friendly to operate or deal with, and people just hate those sometimes. So I would say that design is business, customer experience is business. You really need to give a lot of attention to that. Now, beyond that, what is also important is that you are able to seek uh, this entire, I mean, we saw some of the value chain examples which Mike gave earlier. You need to look at the end-to-end experience of the customer, and you may not be the only person or only company offering that solution, end-to-end value chain. So you will need to look at the partnerships and your counterparts who are going to be taking care of those segments of value chain when you are designing the customer experience. So that is why the co-creation is so important in today's world, that it is not about, there is a saying that, not all the smartest people on the planet are in your organization. In fact, they're outside your organization, right? That's what the saying is. So what you need to think about is, how can you collaborate with companies, people outside your domain, outside your area of control, and look at creating something which is, aligned to the art of the possible, rather than just thinking, saying, how can I incrementally make some changes by just taking my ideas. So I would say it is extremely important to emphasize on the design part. Also, you need to think about the co-creation. In some cases, consulting companies also partner with technology companies. So those are co-creation examples, right? We have examples where the payment provider has partnered with the car companies, right? There are no real boundaries in terms of how we can build a solution. But these two dimensions are going to be very important for the success and sustainability of the product.
Bala,
Yeah.
please continue. I would like to add something later.
Sure, Mike. No, I was just about to say that people think that customer experience is just about the product, but it's about the entire customer life cycle stages, in making sure that you make the purchasing process also delighting to the customers. Implementation, support, everything has to be part of customer experience, not necessarily just the functionality and features. So I think it's a nice way to kind of say that what influences the purchasing decision is not just about how cool your product and solution looks, but it's also about the entire life cycle stages of how cool is the experience, the end-to-end customer experience, right from discovery to be able to provide that kind of consistent experience all through. Yes, Mike.
I would like to add an example from my world, which is very similar to the world of Vincent. It's not only about people nowadays, it's also about automation. And the automation is it's happening through technology, and it's automation together with people, only automation. And I just mentioned that in relation to efficiency, productivity, and simplicity and speed, right? So there is the world of IoT, which is Vincent is there. The drones help a lot in productivity and efficiency. IoT systems do exactly the same. And the fine tuning of what is the most optimal, to come back to what Srikant mentioned, but also Prajit mentioned, is to find the optimal interaction between the automation through machines, but also how the collaboration with the customer and understanding what the customer needs. And you need to build systems that are very flexible, because at the end of the day, nobody knows in the initial stage what system is going to be the one that the customer wants. So it's a lot of experimentation, trial and error, right? And having said that, we have one question which I did not really understood well, but the question says the following, and the question is for all of you: experience in automobile bodybuilding commercial vehicles fabrication, now available into startups, electric vehicle mobility. How can you all help? The question is a bit very, very general. Yes. Yeah. Shall I repeat it, or you can read the question, right?
Yeah, I personally don't have any experience in that field, so I may not be the right person to answer it.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, I have a further question to that. I mean, in
Yes.
what aspect is the help required, or
Yes.
what can we assist in answering the question?
Okay.
Having an experience in that field doesn't give us any references of an answer to given. So who is asking it, if you could be very specific that in which particular field across that you want our advice based on our experience?
Yeah, this is a very, it has to be a bit more specific, right? That's your message.
Yeah, so-
Maybe Vincent, any wisdom from your side, because you are very close to mechanical systems, automation, and this. Yeah, any comments?
I don't really quite understand how he want to help, because it says now available into startup in electric vehicle mobility. If Suresh company right now is automotive bodybuilding, which I assume is the body of the vehicle, right? Electric vehicle has the same body, so I guess we have to, for EV, you have to really go into the electronics and the programming side of things. If not, the body will just be another brick and mortar business.
I think you specify more. I see engine vehicles now, whole world is switching to electric vehicles. That's correct. But in what exactly do you need help? Is help to design new electric vehicles, or what is the issue? Anyway, if you please make it more specific while we continue the discussion, and when we understand better, we'll try to help you to answer it. Thank you. Bob,
Thanks, Mike.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Mike, for that. Thanks, Suresh. Yeah, do let us know if there's anything specific. We'll definitely take it up and see how we can help. Just to coming back to you, Prabhajit. I know that you have quite a number of your customer base is quite a lot of you do have a large customer base, and I'm trying to kind of understand, because once you have done, we've seen the purchasing stage, but when we go into the kind of maintenance, the post-purchasing, I think it's a very important stage in the customer experience lifecycle, because it doesn't end with just getting a customer on board. You need to make sure that you continue to maintain, extend, deepen your relationship with existing customers, and continue to provide that value. And how do you do that on a continuous basis? What strategies that you actually are put in practice today to ensure that your customers stay engaged with you, continue to do business with you?
Okay, another very interesting question. So I'll start with the failure. So as we started a company, we were very fortunate to get a lot of customers on board, and we never cared of them after that. We really thought it's an automated process. You get people, you get money, you move and get more people. So we were in a process of going and getting more people. That was the mantra, and we thought that's a success because I thought after that we assume things will be automated till we got really big clients who stopped us, shaked us up and said, hey, this is not how it's going to work, because the most critical part starts after the sale is done. Because you could be a champion salesperson selling it to me, but after that, the experience was not seamless. Like, for example, I go for a sale, I talk amazing, get them to buy that, and then the day somebody comes for the implementation, they see a fall, and then when they go to customers, so they see a big fall, and they're like, hey, what's happened? And we didn't realize for many years, I should say, and we just took it as a department. And and also you can't realize as a small company, I'll tell you very frankly, because you are running 20 heads, you don't know how to fix it. It's only after you have some kind of success, you sit back and reflect and say, hey, is digging the well and getting water every day important, or to retain the existing customers more important? That's when we started working on a team, and we stopped calling them as a support team. We started calling them a customer success team. We said your job is to make sure whatever you have is there successful. Don't treat them like we already got their money, we don't need anything from them. Treat them like this is the major thing that we have. So there went a lot of education in terms of us as at the leader in management to understand what a customer experience is different from customer service. And then how we articulated back to our team made a lot of difference. Then we said, okay, it's not just the support team which has to understand that. It is also our customer marketing team. It's also our sales team, who all have to be collaborated in a seamless experience from the sales all the way to the delivery and the maintenance. And when we did that, we saw a change in the NPS score. We saw the change in how customers came back to us with good feedbacks. We got tons of testimonials, case studies, and then we realized we didn't have to actually work hard getting so many customers. If we would have taken care of our customers earlier, but never too late. I think we started too early, so we had some space of time to figure that out. And our success in that field has been getting the whole company. So we did exercise, we got the whole company, everybody individually write what is the value they are creating for a customer. Let it be sales, let it be customer service, let it be my admin. The question they have to answer is, what is the value you are generating to a customer? And the reason we want them to answer is because these are the customers who bring bread to our table. So a lot of people felt like a homework, didn't want to do it. But eventually when we got the answers, we read through with everybody, they understood what it means. And today we would say we are much better, and always can be much, much better on that.
I would like to answer the question. Otherwise, we will continue having. Let me put one more time the question. So the question became a bit more specific. So we talk about 2 or 3 wheelers in electric vehicle startup, funding and scaling for Par India Global. So that's the question. Okay. So normally what we do in this situation, there are so many at this moment, 2 and 3 wheelers EV startups, right? In order to be able to create, first of all, you need to create better value for the customer if we want to compete. So what we do, I can help you as 10x2, is to create a differentiation strategy while still we need to deliver as much value or even more than other startups are doing, right? So what the help we can do is a differentiation strategy in a space where there are many, many, many startups that are delivering electric vehicles, especially in the 2 and 3 wheelers in India. As far as concern funding and scaling, we focus on scaling, and the funding is a byproduct of scaling in our business. We don't start with funding. Okay, just the answer to answer your question.
Yeah, thanks, Mike, for that, and thanks, Prabhajit, also on that maintenance. And I think it's a very important aspect, right? I mean, customer success, I think, absolutely makes sense. if the customers don't succeed, you don't have their continued business for sure. So definitely it's completely linked to the success of the customer. In fact, I believe there's a lot of strategies today on building a community, calling as a customer day, where you bring all the customers together and then you share. There's a knowledge sharing that happens among the customers. There's a learning platform. There's a loyalty program. There's a referral program. There's a lot of different strategies in place that ensures that community comes together. So I think it's an important part of the customer lifecycle stage. Shrikant, I just want to come to you about another important utility attribute, which I think is something resonates to you very well: risk, especially digital identity platform. I know that there's a lot of talk about regulatory risks involved, and there's different risks probably you might be encountering at this point in time when you're trying to kind of reach and expand your digital identity solution. Can you show some light on some of the risks that you are facing, that you're trying to address today, and how are you going about it?
If we look at how last 1.5 to 2 years have evolved, right? We are all forced to take up digital. And this is true for everybody. I mean, there is a big digital divide which is happening now, which is causing people with access to internet, access to device. Based on that, students are not, because if they don't have laptops, they can't access. They don't have internet, they can't go to school. Versus some of the senior citizens who are new to learning technology are facing challenges. So I would say one of the big revolutions which is happening, which is accelerated in the last 2 years, is adoption of digital, right? And with adoption of digital, what is happening is whether you like it or not, right? Whether you are the person who is very familiar with technology, or you have the best equipment to access, or best mobile to access internet or laptops, you are forced to access that. And a lot of your digital life has now turned into digital, because you're doing shopping. You see a lot of new e-commerce platforms which are coming in, and it's reaching the remote parts of the world. Now, what this inherently brings out is the security related to the individual, the security related to the data which the individual generates. Because if you were visiting a shop today, before 2 years ago, it's actually not a digital record. Only Google will record that you visited that area. But now when you visit a website, on e-commerce website, you're tracked everywhere. The cookies track you, the evil cookies, right? And everybody knows what's your path there on the digital world. So in a way, I would say that the privacy is challenged in today's world, and we have no option but to absorb this particular, take it with a pinch of salt or whatever that scenario is. But what is going to happen is, over a period of time, data is new oil, right? And it's available. A lot of data, you would be surprised if you do checks on how much of data is available on dark web, right? Some of us should do that check. I would really advise you to go and see how many times your email password was available on internet. Your credit card, your date of birth, all of that is available on internet, and it gives you they give you when and who leaked that data also. So you would be surprised to see that over a period of time, while we think about price of data, we all will be thinking about price of privacy. And we will have to buy privacy. Today we are buying data, but tomorrow we will have to buy privacy. And that is going to be very important for you to have digital identity, because without your identity, your digital identity, you are not going to be able to protect your privacy. There is going to be, so there are many thoughts around self-sovereign identity. I mean, I can talk for a long time on this, federated models, SSI, and all of that. But we will have a combination of something which the customer owns, individual owns, organizations own their own data. They will need the required, like what we offer, the lockers or the wallets, data lockers, which are e-signed and certified by the respective parties, the validating parties, and then you have the supporting parties who are relying parties who are accessing data from there, right? And this whole thing will get into the whole tokenization, all of that. So I would say the digital identity will become the foundation of the future internet. Unfortunately, when people conceptualize internet, it grew very fast before you realize that digital identity is a fundamental part of internet, and we will get there soon. But again, the path is not simple.
Right, and I'm I think it's very interesting conversations. I know that privacy is a very sensitive topic, and I hope that there's certain regulations around it as well, around privacy, which in a sense friendly to both business and to innovation. So let's hope that. But Mike, I just wanted to kind of time check. Can I go with one more?
Yeah, please, one more question. Yeah, please.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. So this is one question that I want to ask all the panelists. I would, the question that I want to ask is, we have seen different customer experience life cycle stages. Which one do you think is the most important from your point of view, from your industry, from your solutions point of view? Is it discovering phase? Is it the ideation phase? Is it the design phase? Is it the implementation phase? Is it the maintenance phase? I just want to kind of hear from each one of you saying, which one do you think is most important customer lifecycle stage? Maybe I start with Vincent, if that's okay.
Okay. Yeah. I think, at least for our industry, right, the maintenance phase is the most crucial. Of course, hunting for the customers is important, but providing the maintenance for the customer to ensure that they can continue to use their solution seamlessly and have a very good customer experience is I feel the most important phase, because this is the long haul. The design phase, the acquiring of the customer phase, that's like half year, 1 year, 1.5 year for us. But after they buy it, it's a 5 years maintenance for them, 10 years maintenance for them, and it has to work every time. So I feel that maintenance phase is the most important. Yeah.
Yeah. Any different views from our other wonderful panelists, Prabhajit, Srikanth?
Well, I think we've broken it to 8 pieces, right? Just to make it very simple, there are only 3 stages, which is attract, sell, and wow. Now, what Vincent's talking about is wow. And the wow is important because wow is going to bring you more attraction. Initially, you need an attraction, but then once the wow is done, the attraction continues automatically. So to answer your question, it's still the maintenance stage, because if I don't wow somebody, then it's a waste of effort. I can keep attracting, I can keep dropping. So it's like a bucket with a hole, which never fills. So I'll just keep it very small. The essence is the same. So it's again, attract, sell, wow.
Right. That's a wonderful way to wow your customer project there. Srikanth, any different school of thought there?
The panel only is interesting when people fight in the panel, right? So I want to make it more interesting. Just kidding. In a way, I will go with my entrepreneurial experience, right? The most interesting phase is where you start, you actually start seeing, you actually see the product, right? Product being born, and you have conceptualized something which has become real. And that is the phase, irrespective of whether you have actually made it live, or even there are 1,000 customers who have started using it. I think the most exciting phase is how do you convert the idea from your mind to get to something, a workable product. Maybe it is a POC, as a prototype. So I believe that journey is super exciting. And of course, when you go and have the customers giving you feedback, maintenance is a very, very important part, because you might lose. Customers may not come back to you. But for me, the whole genesis of product and converting into something from intangible to a tangible product has been the most exciting piece.
Thanks, Srikanth. I mean, that's a reason why I think we bring in such diverse panel to have different views, and appreciate that. And with that, Mike, I would like to thank every one of our panelists here for, I mean, it's been really, for me at least, I found it extremely informative, and a lot of knowledge has been shared. Thanks to our panelists. I once again thank all of them on behalf of 10x2. Appreciate your time and effort, and for sharing a lot of information. Let's keep in touch. Back to you, Mike.
Thank you very much. I would like to answer also this last question, right? I think everybody, each of us has different experiences. So for me, the most exciting period is after you experiment a lot and you find the right solution for the focused customer segments, then you see the growth happening the 10 times, I call it, 10 times faster growth than before, until you find the right value proposition. This is, for me, is the most exciting time. But everybody has a different stage that they like, but that's for me the most interesting. Okay, so let me see what was another message here. Availability of products, assurance of delivery, and acceptance from individual customers per their satisfaction may complete cycle of sale. That's a message from Pradeep. Thank you very much. So I go to the last page of our presentation. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if there are any other questions from the participants, we would like to answer maybe the last question before we go to the next webinar. Are there any other questions?
Also, just a request, Mike,
Yes.
I just want to take a picture of all our panelists. So if you can just one smile, maybe just say cheese. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Bala. So we're coming to the last question. If there are any questions, please answer. And I would like to show you the next webinar is going to be, I assume you see that, Bala, right?
Not yet, Mike, no.
Sorry. All right, go back. No. So the next webinar will be on November 5th, same time. And it's going to be about strategic mapping and the winning formula, which is the next stage after the what we discussed today, which is the customer utility matrix. The next stage is creating the future strategic map and creating the winning formula, which is helping you to focus and differentiate. So this is what we're going to do in 2 weeks. And again, also from my side, I would like to thank both the panelists. Prabjit, thank you very much. Srikanth, thank you very much for joining us, and appreciate your wisdom for both. Vincent, the same for you. Thank you for joining this journey together with 10x2, and also your wisdom tonight. And Bala, thank you very much for bringing such an excellent panel tonight and moderating the discussion. Very much appreciated. And I hope also that our participants learned something tonight. That's the main purpose of this series of webinars. Again, thank you very much. We wish you a good evening and a great weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye. Thank you.